So in the previous videos we did some introduction and made some basic API calls. Now it has, as you can see, it is loading these users here. So in the next video, in this video, what we are going to do, we are going to like our favorite users, and then this will make an API call to our Laravel application, and it will store it in the database. Okay, it is going to store our favorite users so that whenever it is loaded again, we are going to see this. Okay, I like this person, or you could unlike him too. Okay, so for now in our Laravel application, we didn't do anything to store in the database. So the first thing we need to do, we need to create a database. So what we have to do, we have to go to your phpMyAdmin, localhost phpMyAdmin, so let us go to our phpMyAdmin and create a database to store to store any sort of data we need to store from our application. So now log into any database tool, any tool you are using to be able to create your database. You can do it from the terminal or anything. If you are using Laravel, there's a different stuff here that is different from phpMyStorm. So let me create this database and then we'll continue from here. So as you can see here, we just created a database. To store our data for this application. There are no tables. We don't need to create tables. Laravel will do everything for us. So now the next thing we need to do, we need to go to our env file and to store the database configuration. The database name is block, and the user to our MySQL database is, for mine is Celu. Use the one you use, any password, any username and password to use for your application. Here where you are going to put your password. Okay, so after typing in the name of your database and then the user and the password, sometimes you don't need a password. If the user to your database, to your MySQL database, doesn't have a password, you don't need to put a password. So what you need to do, you come here and stop this request, stop the serve, and then run it again, php serve again, so that now the new data env configuration will be adopted. Okay, so after doing this, now you have a database. To store your users. Okay, you have a database to store your users, to store anything you want to store to your database. So now what you need to do, you need to create a model, a Laravel model, php artisan make model -m. This will create a model and also a migration. Okay, you need a model represent an object for your application. In this case, the model we need, actually you need to put the name of the model here after this model, like. Okay, let us say like or friend. No, let us use like. You like users in this application. In our application, you have to like users. Let us say, then you follow them whenever they make a post. You see what they post because you like them. Okay, so now you need to store likes, and you need a migration to. This is what is going to help you help Laravel to create a database for you. And you don't need to manually come here and create tables. This migration will help you do that. So the migration will be stored here. These are the default migration. If you, after making the php artisan make auth, okay, and the models will be stored here. So this is the only default model here. We don't need that in this example. Okay, so now we create this model. So the model is added here, and then the migration for this model is added here. So all we need to save in this, all we need to save is the ID of the user we just liked. Okay, That's all what you need to say. This is a simple example. This example is just for you to just understand the basics. So now what you need to do, you need to create that column, the column of the user you liked, user ID. Each one of these users have a unique ID, so you need to store their ID in the database. So this ID, this will show you that okay, you like this user. So after doing that, you need to go to your model and protected fillable, and this should be an array of all the columns that you need to fill. So here the only column you need to fill is this user ID. This one will be auto increment, and the other columns are timestamp. When was the record created and when was it updated? So we don't need to add, we don't have to worry about storing into those columns. Laravel will automatically do that for us. So this is all what we need. Okay, so after doing this, after having our model and also making the migration, we need to migrate. We need to push the migrations. We need to make the migrations. PHP artisan migrate fresh. This I just like using the fresh migrate, making fresh migration always, because for now we just use this. As time goes on, when you can always go to Laravel application, their website, and read all the commands that are available and use them accordingly. Okay, but this one is just easier. PHP, now it have make the migrations. So if you come to your database here, now you'll see the migration made. The like is here. This is the one we are interested in. The only column that we need to store is this user ID. This one is an auto increment, and this one also is the default value are the current timestamps. We don't need to worry about those. Okay, so now that we have our model, everything is set. Now we need to make a route, an API route to receive our request. So go to the route folder, and there's a api.php file. You need to create a new route, and this have to be, let us say, a post route, like, and then the first parameter of this post method is the link URL, to your route / like. So whenever you want to make calls to this, you just okay, the first one is the URL to the like, and the second one is the controller. Which controller is going to handle this whatever comes from this route? Okay, so we are going to make a new controller called like controller, and then the like controller, and then we are going to name the method that is going to handle it. We are going to name it like. Okay, so now let us make the artisan let us make the controller like controller, CONTROLLER, controller. Okay, so I had a mistake. So when you make a controller, go to the HTTP inside the app folder, HTTP controllers. You are going to see the controller you just made. Okay, we could have used this controller, by the way, but we just made one, so no problem. So now let us have our font method. So as you can see from the route, we said that this controller class is going to handle this request, and there's a method called like that is going to actually handle the request. So let us have a public function method name like, and this like is going to receive a request as a parameter, and this method will handle all the requests. So we could return request. Let us just test. Okay, we are just let us just see what this function will return. So for us to make an API call here, whenever a user, you click on the like button, it is going to make a request to that route, to this route, and this controller will handle the request. Okay, so now we need to create that button. We need to create that button button like. Okay, so if you come here, whenever you refresh this page, it is going to show you the buttons for each user. Okay, so electricity just went out. Let me plug in my internet router here. I'm coming back. So now each user have a like button linked to him. So what we want to do is, if you press like, it will give you the ID of that user, and you send it to your application, Laravel application, and it will store it as a user you just liked. Okay, so to handle that but to have an action listed on that like button, we need a function to be called whenever the like button is clicked. Okay, let us call it like. And this function going to accept a parameter, that is the user ID. Okay, so what we want to do is, we want to make an API call. It will have to be a post request, because this route is a post route, so we have to make a call to this API route. Okay, axios dot post. Okay, and then API dot like. So here you haven't seen any API here. You haven't seen any API in this route here, but we need to add it, because any route that is in this file automatically starts with API. So we have to do it. We have to add it here. So /API/like. Then we are going to make a request to this route, and it has to be a post. Axios.post. It has to be a post request. Okay, and then the next parameter we need to pass is the user ID. Okay, the user ID, that is the user we like. Okay, so then as usual, then you have response, response. You see, as simple as this, the response. Then let us print the response we are going to receive, log.response.data. Okay, every response data is stored to it. So we are going to let us just print the data and see what is okay. So when we make a request here, this route is going to call this controller method to handle the controller function to handle the request. So what this controller method is doing for now, it is just returning the request. Okay, we want to see what request was actually received. So now we need to make a call. We need to call this function on the view end. Okay, on this button now, on click, call like, and give it the user.id. We give it the user ID. This user here, this variable is having the each user, and then we pass in the user ID. Okay, so now let us refresh this page. Let us see the console, because we are printing something, so we want to see what is printed. Okay, so you see automatically we are still printing that. We are still printing this. So let us just remove this. Okay, so now if you press like, then you see, if you press this button like, it make an API request to this route, and this route to this route, and this route give it call this controller to handle the request, and the controller, what it does is just return the request. And we are saying that this is what the controller is receiving, an ID, just a number. Let us say this is the number of the user. We are making request to. Okay, so to make things easy, let us say, let us just say, okay, let us just leave it like that. Okay, so by the way, you have seen, okay, let us try this user. Let us pass it an array, and the array ID, it will have a dictionary user. Okay, so now let us refresh this. So if you make a call, you see now it is given a dictionary, so the ID will be stored at user, or we can just say user ID, sorry. Okay, this is to make things easier for us. ID. Okay, so now we are going to make an API call, and then it's going to call this controller to handle it. So now what we need to do, we need to store to the database. Laravel, storing in the database is very easy. We already created a model that is going to store the likes. Okay, so now we just use import use app slash like. This is how we import a model or any class in Laravel PHP Laravel. Okay, so now we need to call this class like, and then call the create function to store data into the database through the like model. So it will store it in this, table here, likes. Okay, so now when we call the create, the only fillable column is user underscore ID, and you give it the ID, of the user you are storing, you just liked. Okay, so after doing that, so maybe what we want to do, after every like, you will return all the users you like. So let us return response JSON response. We make a JSON response of likes, all your likes, and fetch from the database all the likes in the database, like colon, and then call the get function of this. So this will like a user and then return all the likes, all your users you already liked. Okay, so now let us refresh this page again and make like a user. We like George Blot. It stores this in the database and then return all our likes. So now you see likes, then there's only one data in the like, there's only one column row. It stores the data. Let us check in the database. You see we liked user with ID 1. It stores that user with ID 1 and it returns only that user. So let us like this guy too. So now it returns another array of likes, and then now it is having 2. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so now what we can do, this is where all the users we like will be returned from. Okay, so now maybe we need to have another variable here on this controller, in this component, that is going to store all the users we like. So now later, when the API request return a response, we need to store it here. Likes dot likes is equals to then the response from the API call. Okay, as simple as that. So now whenever it returns all the users we like, it is going to be stored here. But one thing I just recalled, maybe we need to make this colon unique. We don't want to like the same person 2 times. It doesn't make sense. So now let us, in Laravel it's very easy. You just call a function on this colon, and in the migration you just call the unique function on it. Okay, but we need to then migrate again. Migrate colon fresh. It is going to clear the database again. It's going to clear the database again, but this time if we check this colon, now it is unique. Okay, this key means it is unique. Okay, so now it will not allow us to store the same user again. So now that is taken care of. Now every time you like a user, maybe whenever you are printing the users again, you would like to check if this user already liked. If he is already liked, don't display the like button. You said you already like the person, just print there you already like the person. So what we have to do, let us have another function that is going to check whether you already like a user or not. Okay, liked, let us call this liked, already liked, and this function is going to receive a parameter of user ID. Okay, each user it is going to check whether the user ID is in this array here. If it is in this array, that means we already like the user. You don't need to like it again, unless if you really like that person. So now we loop through let like of this dot likes. Loop through this. Let us loop through this array here. So if there is an ID in this like if this ID is already found here, return is already right true. So if user ID is equals to, we are looping through this array here. At each step it is going to give us a unique an ID that is already here. So if there is an ID that is equals to this user ID, return true. Okay, after the loop then return false. So that means it looped through the entire list and it doesn't find the user ID. So that means the user ID is not liked, so return false. So now what we need to do, on the button if already liked, if this user is already liked function, we pass in the user ID, user.id. If the user is already liked, sorry, let us say if the user is already liked, unlike him, else like him. So if it search through the your likes and it found that the user is already there, so it will show you the unlike button in case you want to unlike him now. Else, that means the person is not liked, then you can only like the person. Okay, so now let us refresh this page. Let us say now, okay, after every like, whenever you like a user, let us say it will, let us just call this get users function again, so that it's going to refresh the list. Okay, get users, it is going to refresh the list. So if we if we like this user, it is going to refresh the list. So let us check likes. There's one element here. There's no error. Oh, okay, now I see the problem. If it is looping through this element, it is going to every like, it is going to check the ID. No, not the ID, the user ID dot user underscore ID. Okay, because this variable, it is going to have a record from this database. So a record from this database, a column there is a column called user ID, which actually stores the ID of the user we like. So now we are going to compare, is this user ID equals to the user ID of the like? True or false. Okay, so let us refresh this page again. It's not working as we wish, as it should be, because I already like this user. It is already here, so I should see the unlike button instead. So users, we have 3 users, and likes, oh, likes is empty for now. So what does that mean? It means that when the page is loaded, we should make an API call that is going to get us the list of likes. Route.get my likes, but this route will be a get route. Okay, it will accept get request, like controller at likes. Okay, so now we make a new route, then we just need to create a new function called likes, likes. This like doesn't need to receive any, it doesn't need any request. It is not accepting any parameters. It just need to return a list of all likes. So now we come to the view controller here. We also have a new function called likes, likes. So API / likes likes, and we delete this. We are not passing any parameter. Get. So whenever this method is called, function is called, it make an API request to this route likes, which pass the request to the likes method in the like controller, which returns a list of users the person likes. Okay, and then that is stored in this variable likes, and then we just get the users again, maybe so that we will identify the users that we like. Okay, so now on mount we need to get users, and also this dot likes, we need to get likes too. Okay, so let us just delete this get users, because this get users is already called in this likes function, so we are repeating, we don't need it now. Let us refresh page and see. There's an error. Like has already been defined as a data property. Oh yes, so we created a function called likes, but we already have a data property likes here. So VueJs doesn't like that, so let us change it to get likes. Okay, and then now we call this function get likes. So here it is. Now it have loaded the users, but this user was already liked before, so it shows us the like button here. Let us like jump this guy with his shades. We don't like him. Let us go to the next guy. Cool. Okay, we like this guy too. Let us load to the next users. Hey, this cat astronaut, I like him. We can even go back to the previous list, and then it will still remembers the users we like. Okay, so now the unlike button is not working, because when you click on unlike, it doesn't do anything. Now we need to also add an action listener to the unlike button. Okay, view on click we have to call the unlike function, and in the unlike function also let us pass in the user ID we want to unlike. So all we can do is just repeat this function. We just repeat this and just change the function name to unlike. We're receiving the user ID, but we are going to pass it through this route, unlike route. So we didn't make this route, by the way. So all what we have to do is just go to the route file and just duplicate this also, unlike, and then function name is unlike. So let us go to the controller and change the function name to unlike. So what we need to do in this unlike controller here, we need to delete the column. We need to delete the column where we need to find column. We need to find a column where the user ID is equals to the ID we are sending here, the ID we are passing. When we found that ID, so with Laravel, you just call the model and then the where function. In the where function, what you can do is just the first parameter can be the column name, and then the second parameter can be the second parameter can be the data. So what you are doing here is you're saying that go through this database, go through these models, go through all the models and check where user ID is equals to this data here, that is which we are receiving from the API request call. And then after, when you find that, get them. After getting them, delete them. delete. So the get could return a list of objects, but here we know that it is going to return one because this is unique. So let us just delete it. It doesn't matter. After deleting it, load the current likes again, load them. Okay, and the unlike will do that, and then So now let us refresh this page. I liked this guy before, but I realized that I didn't like him no more. So let me like him. Unlike, oh, it's not working. Request failed with status code 500. Let me just make sure I didn't make any mistake. Unlike user ID likes equals to responder likes unlike. So in the API call we have unlike route post unlike. So I can't understand where the error is. Let us just make sure that first. I don't think this is the error, but let me just this first. What it is going to do, it is going to look through the database, the first record it found. This one before with get, it's going to get us all the results where user ID is equals to this. But we know that it is only one. The records are only unique. So now let's just get first and delete. Let me see if it will work. Oh, Yeah, that's the problem. So it seems that we cannot call this delete function on a list of records, but we already know the list is one, so now it is working. Now you can see that you can always like and unlike your users. Pretty simple. This is like Facebook. Whoa, you just completed your Facebook application. Go make your billions. This guy, I like him. I mean, half of his brain is yellow and the other one is normal. So this is a good example of a simple Laravel application making use of Vue.js. Okay, Vue.js really helps in improving performance in a sense that not much requests are sent to the server. When this page is loaded, the only requests that are sent to the server are the API calls, and the API calls are less heavy and also they are less frequent, unlike always loading the page again whenever you press the next button. Now it doesn't have to load it again, you just have to send a request and say that, okay, give me the next three users, and only the data of the users will be loaded again. That's really nice. That's really nice about combining Laravel and VueJs. So hope you understand. Any questions, just post comment and like my channel. You can suggest another video, something you want to learn. Yeah, let us open the world and make things free. By the way, this thing is called Like App. Let me rename it to Like App. So it is free. You can register, create an account and like people for no reason. Okay, bye bye.